The Man in the Black Hoodie, true gas station horror story. This happened just a few years ago. I was 28, working late shifts at a gas station in a small town off I-70. We didn't get much traffic after midnight, mostly truckers, night shift workers, or the occasional sketchy traveler. I liked the quiet, honestly. Just me, some bad coffee, and the hum of the overhead lights. It was a Thursday night, technically Friday morning, just after 2:30 a.m. when the front door chimed. A guy walked in wearing a black hoodie and a baseball cap pulled low. I remember immediately feeling a bit nervous. He didn't say a word, just kept his head down and slowly wandered the snack aisle, hands in his pockets. At first I figured he was just high or something. That happens a lot out here. But after a full minute of him standing motionless in front of the coolers, I started to get this tight feeling in my chest. I glanced at the convex mirror behind the counter to watch him without making it obvious. He was still, just staring at the cooler door like he forgot why he walked over there. I asked if he needed help. He didn't answer. Instead, he turned his head toward the mirror, toward me. His eyes were wide open, just staring, not blinking. That's when I noticed the badge clipped to his hoodie. It was one of our store badges. Same font, same logo, same layout. His name was Jeremy. I'd worked there for almost a year by then, and I knew everyone, especially the night staff. I had never seen this guy in my life. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Hey man, you sure you're okay?" He finally walked to the counter slowly like he wasn't in a rush. Still didn't say anything. He stood just a little too far away to be casual. Just standing there, staring. I looked down to grab my phone, pretending to check something. I snapped a quick photo of the security feed from the monitor and texted it to my manager with a message. "Do we have a new hire named Jeremy?" She replied immediately. "No. Where is this? Who is that?" I told her he was there right now acting strange. 10 seconds later she called. I didn't pick up, but I read her text as it popped up. He hasn't worked there in over 6 years. He was fired. He stalked a cashier. My blood went cold. I looked back up and he was gone. Just gone. I didn't hear the door chime. I didn't hear footsteps. I stepped out from behind the counter and checked every aisle. Nothing. I even checked the employee restroom, which requires a key to enter. It was locked, and the key was still on its hook, behind the register. I reviewed the footage. He walked up to the counter. Then the footage glitched, jumped ahead. And suddenly, he wasn't there. I locked the doors after that. Stayed behind the counter until sunrise. When my coworker came in at 6 a.m., I was still shaking. He thought I was being dramatic until I showed him the photo of the guy and the footage gap. That changed his tone. The cops came, took a report. They said they'd look into it, but I never heard anything back. So a week later, same shift, same time. I walked in to start my shift and there was something waiting next to the register. A hoodie, black, the kind our old uniforms used to be, folded neatly. Pinned to it was a yellow sticky note. My name, written in block letters. I felt sick. I checked the footage again. Same thing. Around 2:33 a.m. the feed glitched for 10 seconds. When it came back, the hoodie was just there. No one entered. No one left. I didn't even make it through the rest of my shift. I told my boss about the hoodie, the feed glitch. I told her I quit. She didn't argue. I didn't go back in that area for 2 months. But the gas station is right off the highway, and I stopped across the street at the diner. Old habits, you know. One night around 11 p.m., I was sitting at the diner counter drinking coffee when I saw him again. Across the road under the dim glow of the station lights. Same hoodie, same slow walk along the windows. Not going inside, just pacing. I ducked my head, heart pounding. When I looked back up, he was gone. That was last year. I moved to another town and got a job in retail, day shifts only. Last week there was a padded envelope in my mailbox. no type of addresses. Inside was a laminated work badge from the gas station. My name, my photo, but the plastic was scratched, and the font on the logo was slightly wrong, like someone had tried to recreate it from memory. Also inside was a sticky note, same handwriting as the one from a year ago. All it said was, "Night shift starts at 2:30. I moved again. I don't list my name publicly anymore. I don't take night shifts. I don't trust quiet stores. And I never ever ignore someone standing too still in a hoodie. And I still have no idea how he got my new address. If this gave you chills, you owe it to yourself to hit that subscribe button. The garage across the street. I'm a 20-year-old guy. This happened when I was 19. I was house sitting for my aunt while she went on a 2-week trip to Florida. She lived in a quiet older suburb. Lots of retired couples, trimmed lawns, and street lights that barely lit the sidewalks. Peaceful. Maybe too peaceful. The very first night there, I noticed something weird across the street. It was around midnight. I was in the living room, lights off, watching sights of horror on my laptop, when I glanced out the front window. The garage across the street had its light on. The door was cracked open a few feet. A man kept walking in and out, carrying what looked like black trash bags, but his movements were abnormal. Not frantic or busy, just stiff. His arms barely bent, his steps almost mechanical. He'd walk out into the driveway, glance around, then disappear back inside. Same rhythm, over and over. It creeped me out, but I figured, whatever. Probably some night owl neighbor cleaning up. The next night, around the same time, I looked again. Now the garage door was wide open. Same guy, but this time he was sitting in a chair, not moving. Just sitting perfectly still, facing my aunt's house. I couldn't see his face. The overhead light was behind him, throwing everything into his silhouette. But I could feel his eyes on me. It was like my body knew I was being watched. I turned off my laptop and stepped back from the window. Every so often I'd peek. He never moved, he'd just sit there. The last I looked, it was nearly 4 in the morning. Later that morning, I crossed the street for a closer look. Garage door, closed, no cars in the driveway, blinds all shut, but the mailbox was stuffed with circulars and old envelopes, at least a month's worth. That night I couldn't help myself. Midnight rolled around and I looked again. The garage door was open midway, no light this time, but I swear I could make out the same silhouette, standing there in the dark, still, silent. I tried to sleep, I really did, but at 3:15 a.m. I glanced again and the garage door was shut. I hadn't heard it close, didn't see anyone move, just gone. After that I started leaving the hallway light on at night. I didn't tell anyone what I was seeing. I knew how it sounded, but by night 4, I couldn't take it anymore. Around 11:30 I sat on the couch with all the lights off and just watched. Midnight hit. The garage light flicked on. The door opened, and he stepped into view. This time he didn't move in and out, he just stood there. Upper body visible, backlit by the garage light. Then slowly he raised his arm and pointed directly at my window, at me. I dropped to the floor. My heart was in my throat. I stayed there for several minutes, barely breathing. When I peeked again, he was gone. Light off, door closed. That was the moment I called the non-emergency police line. I told the dispatcher someone was possibly squatting in the vacant house across the street. She said they'd send a patrol unit in the morning. I told her the guy was there right now. There was a long pause. Then she said, "Sir, our records show that property has been vacant for almost a year. No one should be there." My skin went cold. She said they'd send someone out immediately. 2 officers showed up about 20 minutes later. I watched from behind the curtains as they walked around the house, knocked on the doors and checked windows, flashlights scanning. Then they walked up to my aunt's door and asked to speak with me. They asked how long had I been seeing someone in that garage. I told them everything. One of the officers nodded slowly, like he was trying to keep his expression neutral. Then he said, "The power to that house was disconnected. There's no electricity. That garage shouldn't be lit at all." I told them I'd seen the light, the man, the bags, everything. They offered to walk me over while they checked the garage. I didn't want to, but I followed. The second the officer lifted the garage door, the smell hit me. Stale air, mold, dry rot. Inside, completely dark. No switch, no bulb, just a frayed wire hanging from the ceiling. The garage was mostly empty, just old shelving, dusty boxes, old broken garden tools. Nothing that explained the guy I saw night after night, until we spotted something in the back corner, a folding metal chair, just sitting there. The concrete beneath it had faint drag marks, like the chair had been moved repeatedly to the doorway of the garage. Same spot every time. One of the officers got closer with his flashlight, then stopped. On the wall, scratched faintly into the drywall, almost invisible unless you were looking for it, was a word, "watching." That was enough for me. I backed out. I didn't want to be in that garage anymore. The officers taped a no trespassing notice to the garage door and told me to call if I saw anything else. But there wasn't much they could do. No proof anyone was living there. No power. No signs of forced entry. That night I locked every door and window, pulled every curtain tight, and sat on the floor in the hallway until morning. Even now I can't stop thinking about that chair, the way it seemed to face my aunt's house, the word "watching" carved into the wall, the silence of that neighborhood. A few weeks later I drove past again during the day. The garage was closed, lawn still overgrown. The house looked totally untouched, except for one thing. On the inside of the front window, someone had wiped a clean patch in the dust, just enough space to leave a shape, an arrow, pointing across the street at my aunt's house. And I still don't know who was watching me, or why, or if they ever stopped. What would you have done? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more horror stories every week. He waited in the break room. Sights of horror. I'm a 30-year-old woman. This happened when I was 28. I worked security at a big office complex downtown. It was a graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and for the most part it was uneventful. Just long, quiet nights filled with badge scans, coffee, and checking cameras. It was decent pay, and honestly, I actually liked the solitude. But this one night changed how I feel about being alone forever. I remember it was a Tuesday night in late fall, the kind of night where everything feels just a little off. Windy, cold, a strange tension in the air. I'd done my usual check-in at the front desk, then started my first round through the building. 10 floors, mostly empty offices, a few break rooms, and some maintenance areas. Everything seemed normal, until I passed the break room on the 7th floor. The lights were on, which wasn't too unusual. Sometimes employees forgot to turn them off. But as I glanced inside through the glass pane in the door, I saw a man sitting at the table. He was wearing a dark blue maintenance uniform, just sitting completely still, arms on the table, hands folded. No food, no phone, not even looking at anything. Just sitting there, like he was waiting for something, or someone. I paused for a second, nodded politely, and kept walking. Maybe he was new and was doing some late night work. Still, there was something about him that unsettled me. I couldn't explain it. He didn't move at all when I passed. No acknowledgement. Just stared straight ahead like a statue. Back at the security desk, I checked the roster. I knew most of the maintenance guys. They'd all gone home by 8 p.m. But just to be sure, I called the building's maintenance supervisor. "No one's scheduled tonight," he said. "Everyone's off." "Why?" I felt a jolt in my stomach. "There's someone sitting in the 7th floor break room. Looks like maintenance." He paused. "Can you describe him?" "Tall, maybe 6'2". "White guy. Clean shaven. Blue uniform. Didn't recognize him. We don't have anyone that fits that." I grabbed my flashlight and mace and went back up, this time more cautiously. When I reached the 7th floor and approached the break room again, the lights were still on, but the man was gone. I checked the door. Locked. I keyed in and did a full sweep inside. No one. Nothing out of place. But on the table was a coffee cup. Cold. Half full. With a faint lipstick stain on the rim. And I wasn't wearing lipstick. I went straight back to my station and pulled up the hallway camera outside the break room. The footage showed me walking by, nodding through the glass. But, here's the thing, no one had entered that break room all night. No one. I rewound it several times. Nothing. Every door on that floor had access sensors. None had been triggered. It was like he just appeared. Then I zoomed in on the moment I passed the break room and paused. That's when I saw it. He wasn't just sitting there. He was holding something in his hand. I enhanced the frame as much as the grainy footage allowed. It was a photo, a printed photo, and it was of me walking through the building during a shift from a few weeks prior. Same blue shirt, same short haircut, the same distracted look I always had when I was doing my route. That's when the panic hit me full force. I called the police. They arrived about 15 minutes later, did a full sweep of the building, top to bottom. No signs of forced entry, nothing unfamiliar, nothing stolen, nothing broken. But there were two more things that didn't add up. First, the coffee cup. It was one of the generic ones from our front lobby's vending area, but I'd personally locked that area at 9 p.m. before starting my rounds. The footage showed no one else going in or out since. Second, and this one still makes my stomach turn, the lipstick on the cup matched a shade I used to wear regularly, one I hadn't used in over a year. I didn't mention that to anyone, not the cops, not my boss. It felt too personal. For the next week I didn't sleep right. Every noise in my apartment made me jump. Every time I passed a break room during my shift, I felt like someone was watching. Then on the following Monday, something new happened. At 2:17 a.m., a silent motion alert came through on the 9th floor. I pulled up the camera feed. Nothing was moving. The hallway was empty. But just before the alert triggered, the lights in the break room flicked on for exactly 14 seconds. Then, off again. No one was visible on the footage. I submitted it to building management and told them I wouldn't work overnight anymore. Luckily, they moved me to daytime patrol. Less pay, more foot traffic, but worth it. The police never found any leads. No one ever identified the man in the uniform. No other staff had seen him. And here's the part that keeps me up some nights. 2 weeks later, a cleaning lady on the 10th floor reported finding a folded piece of paper under a vending machine. It was a printout of a security cam still, a picture of me from that same Tuesday night. Only this time, I wasn't alone in the photo. Standing just behind me, mostly hidden in shadow, was him. The same tall man, same blank stare, same folded hands. As far as I know, no one's seen him again. He never came back, but I still check every break room I pass, every time. I check under tables, behind doors, even inside the fridges, because he didn't just appear once. He waited, and I still don't know how he got that photo of me, or how long he was watching before I ever noticed. Your next nightmare is waiting. Tap subscribe before it finds you first.